So you've laid out a pretty compelling case for where we are in the process of empire. Let me ask before we get into your book, which I want to spend some quality time on. How will we know when we've crossed that Rubicon from a declining power to truly a power of the past that is now one among many, or one among a few that now split the geopolitical forces of the world?
There are a number of signs. Late last year, you may remember, President Trump increased the tariffs on China to, I think, to 140%. And Xi Jinping, the president of China, responded by slapping export restrictions on what are called rare earth minerals that we need for all kinds of things, motor vehicles, and particularly in our defense industries. And they had a summit in South Korea, and Trump walked in and gave away the farm. Basically, he capitulated. He looked Xi Jinping in the eye, and Xi Jinping stared him down, and China got everything it wanted, and we got nothing of what we wanted. And that was, I think, an historic moment, you know, um, in terms of face-to-face diplomacy that marked China as the peer power, not near peer power, but as the peer power of the United States. It was that moment, okay, when Trump and Xi Jinping looked each other in the eye and Trump blinked. And the American press, of course, didn't cover it. There was some commentary, some message, but you're not going to. How can I put it? Every society has a certain amount of pride. Americans have a great deal of pride, and that's not a message that Americans wanted to hear. It was in the back pages. There was some informed analytical comment by skilled journalists, of course, but it wasn't widely disseminated. So that was one manifestation, and we can look for more moments like that. We can also look for more military disasters as we see this deployment. We can look for the crumbling of NATO, the weakening of our bilateral alliances along the Pacific littoral, um, and a functional retreat by the United States from both Europe and the Asian periphery. Uh, and I think the the ultimate marker ultimately is going to become when the dollar, the U.S. dollar, is no longer the world's global reserve currency. It's already dropping. Um, my numbers are just off the top of my head, and they're not quite accurate. But it used to be that international exchange, when people purchase oil or settle debts and all the rest of the indices of international commerce, it was above, it was around 75% was done in dollars. It's now around 55, 58%. It's a major drop. The dollar is declining. Okay. And as we mismanage our budget, building our $1 trillion military, which President Trump wants to increase to $1.5 trillion, which is going to be funded by debt. As we increase our debt and as we withdraw increasingly under the pressure of Trump's tariff regimes from global commerce, there's going to be more and more business done in yuan and euros and yen and all the rest, and the dollar will fall away. And I think it's going to be the point when in the basket of currencies that the International Monetary Fund does for its basic exchange currency, when the dollar drops below 50%, that'll be a pretty clear indicator that our day is done, because the dollar has been one of those key artifacts of US imperial power. Think about it, okay? The world sends us real things. They send us oil, and they send us mineral, and they give us BMWs and really nice German cars. And if you can't afford one of those, the Japanese, the Hondas and the Toyotas the Toyota is such a reliable vehicle. They're great cars. Okay. And what do we give them? Bright colored paper. We give them monopoly money. They're called T notes. Okay. Treasury notes. Okay. So we send paper and they give us real products. And we pay them some interest in more paper. It's a great imperial bargain. And, you know, go to Walmart, go to Costco, look down the aisles, look at the labels of how the world is filling up our aisles with very affordable consumer goods that allows us to pay very poor wages to our workers and still keep them, roughly afloat, So it's a grand imperial bargain that we've had for the last 80 years. And when the dollar declines, that bargain is going to be over. The costs of our American life are going to continue to soar, and people will suffer.